Hello friends and welcome to today's session. In this video, I'm going to show you in a very casual and relaxed manner how I do things at work, along with some tips and tricks that you might not see otherwise. I work in contract catering that has a fine dining outlet, and this was for dinner service. This was just for a small group of 6 people. We have a set menu where people can choose, and if they don't want certain items, they can suggest something and we can most certainly accommodate their request, like this for example. In this case, one of the clients would rather have a fruit platter than the desserts on the menu. I am not offended by their choice. So let's start by organizing ourselves. This is called mise en place, which translates from French, putting in place or getting ready. This is the discipline and organization of a good chef. A good chef should have everything in place and be ready in case the service team were to fire away. Being ready is how you can assemble a dish at a moment's notice. My colleague will also be doing his mise en place, such as this. He will have everything all laid out and portioned in one tray. As for the fruit platter, fruits can be prepared way in advance. I am doing some minor decorations and just setting it in place to be on a standby. This is how I get ready. I am just going to place some berries on the fruit platter. Before I do so, I'm going to wipe any excess liquid from the melons that have bled out. So there we have it, a fruit platter on the ready. That can remain on the side until later. Every time we serve a sit-down dinner, we will provide some petit fours. I like having the rule of one of them being a chocolate item and one of them being a fruit item. Here I have some fruit jellies, or pate de fruits. These jellies are free from animal products because they contain no gelatin. This is an apple and mango version. In order to make this, you will need some special items, or should I say ingredients, such as pectin jaune or yellow pectin. This is basically a hard set pectin meant for fruit jellies. Apart from that, you will need some citric acid. This is to activate the pectin and at the same time to give it some sharp but refreshing flavor. I use this brand a lot in the kitchen, which is Louis Francois, supplied by Classic Fine Foods here in the UK. This is not a sponsored video by them. Once you have made your mixture, you can set it in any kind of mold such as these. And yes, even gummy bear molds. It really depends on what kind of shape you prefer. And for the chocolate one, I have handmade chocolate truffles. Here is the recipe for the chocolate truffles. It is very easy to make. 500 grams of chocolate of your choice, 500 grams of whipping cream, 100 grams of liquid glucose. Vanilla and salt are optional based on your taste preference. The chocolate that I use is from Calibao at 54.5% intensity. It isn't too dark and it has some malty hints with wild dark berries. And as for the whipping cream, I use Candia with a fat content of 35.1. And this is the liquid glucose from Marguerite that I use. Liquid glucose is there for texture, consistency, and to help with the shelf life. I'm taking out the fruit jellies and chocolate truffles now to let them adjust to room temperature so that the clients can enjoy them later on. If they come straight from the fridge, they will be too hard and too cold to fully enjoy and melt in your mouth. Other than that, we have some neutral glaze to help as the glue. You will see later on. Traditionally, chocolate truffles are hand piped with a piping bag and a nozzle, or hand scooped using a spoon. But I'm a little lazy and I also want some uniformness to them. So I have a silicone sphere mold such as this. Once you make the ganache for the truffle, pipe the mixture into the mold and then let it set in the freezer. Once it's hard, you can pop them out and it will be a ball. Dip them in a chocolate glaze mixture. This glaze mixture is called pate glace. Here is the ratio for the mixture: 800 grams of dark chocolate and 200 grams of cocoa butter. This will help create a hard shell and will seal the chocolate all around. And just before it sets, toss it in cocoa powder. Now, I'm just tidying down and I'm going to prepare for the main dessert. I kept the plates in the blast fridge to chill them down. Follow me to the back freezer. We're going to take it out from our Frise en place. Frise en place is having mise en place from the freezer. I learned this phrase from my old executive chef. His name was James Brown. And he said always make sure that you have backup, and especially Frise en place. So I've adapted that phrase and taken it on board. So the Frise en place that I'm after is some tonka bean parfait. This is like a set mousse. I have written pork on the label because there is pork gelatin used in making it set. This is how tonka beans look like. Tonka beans have a complex, intensely aromatic flavor profile. They can be described as a mix of vanilla, almond, marzipan, cinnamon, and cloves. They have a sense of warmness about them, greatly paired with spiced and nut ingredients. They are best when either grinded into a powder or microplaned. In this case, for this recipe, I grinded it into a powder and infused it in some whipping cream overnight. Then I strained it and then whipped the cream up to be then folded into the custard mixture to create the set mousse. For this dessert, I have selected the ring mold. On the right side of the container, you can see that I have also tried to set the mousse in a spiral mold. Let's place the mousse back into the freezer. Now I'm going to add some crumble in the middle of the ring. The crumble will add some crunch and texture. This dessert is somewhat a play on a rhubarb and custard crumble. Next thing to do is to cut up some poached rhubarb into uniform dices. This rhubarb was poached in a syrup made with orange, ginger, sugar, water, and grenadine. The grenadine helps to maintain a bright, vibrant color for the rhubarb. If you don't have any grenadine, you can use some dried hibiscus. That also can help in boosting the color if you have some. I'm trying to fit as many rhubarb dices as I can in the center. This is rhubarb gel made with the poaching liquid. I'm using it to fill the gaps, to give it that full look. In order to make this gel, I took 1000 grams of poaching liquid and added 100 grams of castor sugar. And in order to set this, I used 1.5% of agar-agar powder. Agar-agar is a natural setting agent from algae. It will harden into a solid jelly, and then all you have to do is blend it in a blender or food processor until smooth, such as this. Now I am ultimately on standby. I have placed it all back into the blast fridge to keep the dessert and plates cool. This is Robert Dutton. He is the sous chef that I work with. The fruit platter from earlier is on the kitchen side of the pass. Soon the butler will take the fruit platter so that he can be on standby as well. Robert, as well, is getting ready to plate up his side of the menu. Ah, what is a fruit platter without a decorative mint? This is Marcin. He is the head butler of where I work. And there we go. The complete fruit platter for that one guy that decided not to eat my dessert. Now, because I know they are almost going to call away the dessert order, I'm just going to plate up the petit four from earlier. I have placed some neutral glaze at the bottom of the plate. This is to prevent the treats from sliding around. I mean, I shook that plate rather hard, but you see what I mean. This is just to assist in keeping it in place. Let's try that again. There we go. Secured. As for the jellies, I'm not so worried about that because the base is rather flat, unlike the chocolate truffles. Just before serving, I'm just going to toss them in some sugar. This is to give them some texture and to also prevent them from sticking to the plate. Okay. Alright, Marcin has fired the desserts away, and now we're going to plate up. I'm going to use the gel for some support for the next item. Here is a decorative tuile. Here is the basic tuile recipe. Equal parts of egg whites, melted butter, castor sugar and flour. Vanilla and salt are optional. Mix that all together and let it set in the fridge overnight, and then spread it onto something like this. Bake it at 160 degrees for about 2 to 3 minutes depending on your oven and how thick the molds are. Remove from the mold while it's still flexible and warm. I chose this because it resembled diced rhubarb. You can always bake it some more to add color after removing it from the mold. I got this from Amazon. A link for this will be in the description. There are many possibilities. Here are some examples. I have some leafy ones and then a honeycomb one. To make it red, or any color for that matter, I sprayed it with some red cocoa butter spray. The other colors that I have are orange and brown from a company called MSK. Also not sponsored by them. Now for the other main parts is the rhubarb sorbet. And because it is an organic collaboration in the kitchen, I'm going to let the sous chef choose which spoon I use. This was made using a Pate jet. On the top right, I have a video explaining what a Pate jet is. I'm going to quenelle, or the correct term is to rocher the sorbet on the top. If you are ever in a situation where your ice cream or sorbet is slightly too hard, just use an ice cream spoon to massage it, and then it can become easy to do something like this. I dip the spoon in hot water, and then as I make the rocher, I use my palm to warm the bottom to allow the rocher to glide right off. Don't worry guys, my hands are clean as I wash them very often, and the spoon gets put back into very, very hot water. Now, it is just a matter of repeating the process. And to really add that little je ne sais quoi, some more gel dots, and of course my favorite thing in the kitchen, like the sous chef says, go for the goat leaves. Both of us are ready. Marcin will take it away, and that is the end for that evening. Well, thank you for joining me in today's adventure. I hope you have learned a few tips and tricks and seen how I do things at work. Do leave me a comment and subscribe for more. I hope you've enjoyed what you've watched. Until next time, bye for now.